The snow fell steady and thick that December evening, turning the city into something softer than it was. Caroline Hayes sat on the green bench at the bus stop, her cream-colored dress doing nothing against the cold. The lace hem was torn, the fabric thin. Her blonde hair hung loose and damp around her shoulders. She had no coat, no shoes, just a worn backpack with everything she owned inside. She was 23 years old and she'd been homeless for 6 weeks. The evening commuters hurried past without looking. That's what people did. They looked through you when you were sitting on the ground, when you had nowhere to go. Caroline had learned that quickly. She'd become invisible. Across the street, through the falling snow, a man in a dark coat stood waiting. His name was Richard Manning, though Caroline didn't know that yet. He was 37, successful, polished, the kind of man who wore expensive watches and had a leather briefcase. He was watching the bus stop, but not for a bus. He was watching for his daughter. A small figure in a red coat came running down the sidewalk, her gray knit hat bouncing with each step. She couldn't have been more than 4 years old, with brown curls escaping from beneath the hat. She held a brown paper bag in her mittened hands. The little girl stopped directly in front of Caroline. Caroline looked up, startled. Most people avoided her, especially children whose parents pulled them away quickly as if poverty might be catching. But this child stood there, her brown eyes serious and thoughtful. She held out the paper bag. "Here," the little girl said. "It's a sandwich. Turkey and cheese. And there's an apple, too." Caroline's throat tightened. "Sweetheart, I can't take your lunch. It's not my lunch. Daddy packed it special. He said I should give it to someone who needs it." The child pushed the bag closer. "You look like you need it." Caroline took the bag with shaking hands. "Thank you. What's your name?" "Emma Manning. I'm 4 3/4." She tilted her head, studying Caroline the way children do, without judgment, just curiosity. "Why don't you have shoes?" "They got stolen," Caroline said quietly. "While I was sleeping?" "That's mean." Emma considered this. "Where's your mommy?" "I don't have one anymore. She passed away." "Me either," Emma said matter-of-factly. "Mine died when I was a baby. I don't remember her, but Daddy says she was nice." She sat down on the bench next to Caroline, swinging her legs. "Are you sad?" "Sometimes," Caroline admitted. "Are you?" "Sometimes. Mostly I'm okay, but Daddy gets sad a lot. He tries to hide it, but I can tell." Emma looked at Caroline with sudden intensity. "Do you have a place to sleep?" "Not tonight," Caroline said honestly. Emma's face grew thoughtful, that serious expression children get when they're working through a problem. "You need a home." "And I need a mommy." She said it simply, as if it were the most logical solution in the world. "Maybe you could come live with us." Caroline felt tears prick her eyes.
"Oh, honey."
"It doesn't work that way." "Why not?" "Because your daddy doesn't know me. And I'm sure he's a very good daddy all by himself." "He is good," Emma agreed. "But he's lonely. He thinks I don't notice, but I do. And I'm lonely too sometimes. The house is really big, and there's lots of rooms nobody uses." Across the street, Richard Manning was approaching. Caroline saw him coming and instinctively gathered her backpack, preparing to leave before there was a scene. But Emma grabbed her hand. "Don't go yet. I want Daddy to meet you." Richard arrived, snowflakes catching in his dark hair. His expression was cautious but not unkind. "Emma, you can't bother people like that." "I'm not bothering her. We're friends." "Her name is Caroline, and she needs a place to stay. And I told her she could stay with us." Richard's eyes met Caroline's. She saw him taking in her appearance, the ruined dress, the bare feet turning blue, the exhaustion written in every line of her face. She saw pity there and something else. "Recognition, maybe?" "Of pain that knows pain. I'm sorry," Caroline said quickly. "Your daughter was just being kind." "I'll go." She tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't quite work. The cold had settled deep into her bones. She swayed, and Richard caught her elbow. "When did you last eat?" he asked quietly. "Yesterday, I think." "It's hard to keep track." "Daddy," Emma said urgently. "She doesn't have shoes. Someone stole them." Richard was quiet for a long moment, snowflakes gathering on his shoulders. Then he made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. "Come with us," he said. "Just for tonight. Get warm, have a meal, sleep somewhere safe. In the morning, I'll help you figure out your next steps." Shelters, resources, whatever you need. I can't. Yes, you can, Emma said firmly, still holding Caroline's hand. You have to. It's really cold. Caroline looked at this man and his daughter, at the kindness being offered by strangers. She thought about the bus stop bench, about another night in the cold, about how tired she was of being invisible. Just tonight, she whispered. Just tonight, Richard agreed. They drove through the snowy streets to a house that looked like something from a magazine. Warm lights glowed in the windows. Inside, it was beautiful but somehow empty, like a showroom nobody lived in. Richard showed Caroline to a guest room. There's a bathroom through that door. Take a hot shower. I'll bring you some clothes. My sister's probably. She stays here sometimes, and then come down for dinner. Caroline stood under the hot water until her fingers pruned, washing away weeks of street dirt and exhaustion. The clothes Richard left were soft and warm. When she came downstairs, Emma was setting the table with intense concentration. I made you a place, Emma announced. Right next to me, they ate chicken soup and warm bread. Emma chattered about preschool and her best friend Madison and the snowman she wanted to build. Richard asked gentle questions. Where was Caroline from? How did she end up here? Did she have family? Caroline told them the truth. About the mother who died of cancer, the medical bills that took everything, the job she'd lost when she couldn't stop crying at work, the apartment she couldn't afford, the car that got repossessed, the slow slide from person to problem to invisible. I'm not on drugs, she said quietly. I don't drink. I just ran out of options. And once you're on the street, it's almost impossible to get back off. You need an address to get a job. You need a job to get an address. You need to be clean and rested to interview, but you can't sleep or shower anywhere. It's a trap. Richard listened without interrupting. When she finished, he just nodded. The guest room is yours. Not just tonight. Until you get back on your feet. I can't accept that. Why not? Because you don't know me. Because it's too much. Because my 4-year-old daughter showed more wisdom than most adults when she offered you that sandwich, Richard said. Because she's right, you need a home and we have space. Because everyone deserves a chance to start over. Emma climbed into Caroline's lap, yawning. See, I told you it would be okay. That night, sleeping in clean sheets in a warm bed, Caroline cried for the first time in weeks. Not sad tears, exactly. Something more complicated. Relief and grief and hope all tangled together. The next morning, Richard helped her apply for jobs. His company was hiring for administrative positions, and he made some calls. Within a week, Caroline had an interview. Within 2, she had a job. Emma adopted Caroline completely. She wanted Caroline to read bedtime stories, to braid her hair, to help choose her clothes in the morning. And slowly, carefully, Caroline let her self-care back. Let herself become part of this small, broken family that was trying to put itself back together. You're good with her, Richard said one evening, watching Caroline and Emma bake cookies. She's easy to love, Caroline said. So are you, Richard replied, and then looked surprised he'd said it. 3 months passed, then 6. Caroline saved money, paid Richard modest rent despite his protests, built a life from pieces. The guest room became her room. The house became home. One spring evening, Emma asked the question they'd all been thinking. Is Caroline our family now, Daddy? Richard looked at Caroline across the dinner table. I think that's up to Caroline. Caroline thought about a snowy bus stop, about a little girl with a paper bag and a solution to an impossible problem. About how sometimes families aren't born, they're built by people who choose each other, who see each other when the world looks away. Yes, she said softly. I think we're family, Emma beamed. Richard smiled in that quiet way of his, and Caroline felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, the sense of belonging somewhere, to someone in all the ways that mattered. Outside the window, spring rain fell gentle and warm, washing away the last traces of that harsh winter. Inside, 3 people who'd been lost had found each other. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.